Head over to miniaturemarket.com where they have thousands of board games at discounted prices like Ole Guacamole. Hello my friends, it's the Game Boy Geek here. Today it's all about guacamoles. I mean, I love guac just as much as the next person, but the game actually has nothing to do with guac. It's more about words, but it's called Ole Guacamole. This is a party game where you're trying to find a word that connects to the last player's word, but you can't use specific letters. Let me show you how it works. I'll see you on the other side. Now the game comes in this cute little packaging that literally looks like an avocado, which is what guacamole is made from. It's cute. All the cards fit right in this thing, and it can really fit in your pocket just to take the places. It's pretty cool. So let me show you how it's played. By default, you're going clockwise. Someone is going to flip this over, and you will use a timer. It doesn't come with a timer, so you'll use a timer on a phone, something like that. You have 12 seconds. First player can come up with any word that does not have an N on it. So they might say car. Okay. The next player is going to flip a card, and someone else is going to start the timer. Again, 12 seconds always. Ooh, P and R. So they have 12 seconds to come up with a word that has something to do with a car, because that was the last word said by another player. And it can be very creative. It doesn't matter. Anything it's very lenient in that way. If you can connect it somehow with a car, it's good. And it can't have an N, an R, and a P. And of course, you can't use any word that was used earlier this game or any game the entire day, actually. So something that has to do with a car that doesn't have P or R in it. But it can't have an N either, so you can't say engine, for example. You can't say tire because there's an R. So maybe you say mileage, okay? So then the next player has 12 seconds to reset the timer for them right after you flip this up. Can't have any of those, and you can't say anything that's been said this game or any game of that day. So as you can see, it gets harder and harder. Maybe you say, it has to be one word. So maybe you say Tesla. And this comes up, and now you can't use any of these letters. So it gets harder and harder. And maybe you say, ooh, I was gonna say like electricity. How about, I was gonna say Edison. Nope, there's a D. See how hard it gets? You could say, I was gonna say model, but there's a D. Oh, again, you have so many things you could say, but maybe you can't say hood. There's a D there. Electric, can't, there's a C. By the way, if you say a word that has already been said, or you say one that has a letter, it stops, if it buzzes with 12 seconds, you are gonna take all of these cards. And these are bad, you don't want these. Whoever has the least amount of points at the end the least amount of points wins. And so the person that screwed up would start a total new one. Again, now they can say pretty much anything, and you keep going this way. Now there are some special cards. For example, this might come out, and now you have to say two of them, two words, and they both have to connect to the last player's word. And then when the next player goes, they have to connect to either one of the two words that this player said. If it's your turn, you get this. You get to choose who has to come up with the word. So you're kind of like passing the buck. This one might come up, and if so, you flip this, and it's going back in the other direction to the player that just said the word. So they're going to have to come up with another word that matches with their previous word. Or maybe you get something like this, where it continues, it jumps over you to the next player, continuing in this row. So just a little bit of unpredictability there. But again, you keep playing till this deck is completely gone. Whoever has the least amount of cards, which means you've screwed up to take cards, whoever has the least amount has the lowest points, and you are the winner. All right, Ole Guacamole. So this is a cute little game. Let's talk about what I liked about it. It fits in your pocket. It's a good little game that you could just bring to a restaurant, bring to a party. Just slip it in your pocket there and just show up with it, and it'd probably go over well with the mass markets and things like that. It is definitely simple to teach. I mean, this is a pure, simple little party game. I'm gonna put these letters up, come up with a word that doesn't have these letters, and connect it to the last player's word. That's it. The only twist is when you get to some of those little extra cards, you're gonna have to go over them. One person's gonna need to know the game to not slow it down. And as a new card comes up, you don't usually start the timer until after it comes up anyways. So you get to say, oh, you know what? Now it's the other person has to do it. Or now you get to choose which player does it. But for the most part, it's super easy to teach. Don't even teach those special cards until they come up, and you'll be fine. It goes really easy. I like that you have the flexibility of starting with any word, but with the caveat of it can't be a word that was used not only in that game already, but any game that day. Because this is one of those games that you're probably going to play more than once. You'll play it once, you'll be like, that was fun, let's do it again. You'll usually play it at least twice, sometimes more than that. And maybe you'll play it a little later in the day with other family members that come over or whatever at a party. And you can't use any of the words that have been used because, and I like that because, since you have flexibility with the first word, people are going to like resort to callbacks and doing little things. And it kind of make it a little easier as you know the game well and you start using the same words and you remember what the connections were before. So not being able to do anything that day, it'll make it a little bit harder. Although next time you play, you'll probably use some of the ones that you thought were funny before. But I do like that. Start with any word, but not one that was used at all that day in any of the games. I like it that you have the flexibility of the creativity is flexible. So there's like no real rules. They just say, be pretty lenient. If there's any way that it sort of connects, let it do that. And I like that because someone might say car, and the next person might say axle. And then my next person might say rose, as in Axl Rose, which rose could be, and the cool thing about the words is you're doing one word. It can be a proper noun, but it can't be a first name. So saying Rose is Axl Rose, that's the last name, and that's okay. But you could be creative in that. I like the creativity of this, but you're under pressure of a timer as well. I like that when it's your turn, as you're listening to players say things, you're trying to sort of anticipate where people are going with this and starting to think of words that you might be able to use. For example, first person might say cherry. Second person might just say banana, right? As the third person's thinking, you're going, okay, they might stick with fruits. What other fruit or food or something can I say that's already out that isn't already out there? And then when the new letter comes up when it's my turn, maybe I'll be able to just finagle around that. But you can do what good players do in this game, which is purposely changing directions that people don't expect to really mess other people up that are trying to think turns ahead like that, which is kind of cool. So this little party game actually has a little bit of depth there if you're going to play it to win. But you could change directions. Like someone might say banana instead of, so we were talking about before and they're like cherry, or different fruits. And so they did cherry, they did banana. So instead of continuing with fruits or food, you might just go monkey, right? And so if someone downstream from you was thinking of foods, now they got to flip their brain and now think of something to do with a monkey, right? Maybe different animals, maybe whatever, anything creative. But I like that because some players are trying to anticipate, while the good players are trying to like flip the script and do something unpredictable, but you're still just trying to get anything out because you're under pressure that time. I like that each turn ramps up the difficulty. So as the letters are coming out, it's getting harder and harder, and then boom, you reset, and you start over again and do that again. So it's really cool. It's just a fun little quick game. It takes about 15 minutes to play. On the negative side of things, it definitely shines, I think, at the lower and at most the middle player count. It says it plays up to 8. The player counts of 6 through 8 aren't really as good. There's only 49 cards in the deck, right? And so in an 8-player game, you're getting like 6 turns at most, around that. If there's 8 players and you're only getting 6 turns, if you mess up once with a lot of cards, you're not going to win, right? I like having it. The last time I played this was a 3-player game. And myself and the player next to me on my left were doing horribly. We had lost like 3 or 4 each in a row. And then we're like, there's no way. This other player's going to win. They got no cards. Well, come to find out, towards the end of the game, we had a really long one. And that player that didn't get any cards got a ton of them, and they ended up getting one more, and I ended up winning. And it was really cool to see you can come back. That doesn't happen as often when you're playing with the higher player counts. In fact, it almost never happens. You can kind of know that the game's over for you earlier with the larger player count. So it says 2 to 8. It works great with 2, 3, and 4 players. 5, pretty good too, but again, you're not getting quite as many turns. 6 to 8, I don't think it shines with that. Sure, you can play it. Sure, it works. It's just, in my opinion, it's not as fun if you're trying to have some anticipation about who might be winning, because it's not really known who wins. You just know who has the most cards, but things like that, or who has the least cards. But anyway, the last thing is you are under pressure. People that don't like to be on pressure and with everyone staring at them with a timer going on, they're not going to like this as much. And managing the timer is a bit of a pain. They don't come with one. You just use your phone or whatever for the timer. But since it's so short, which it kind of needs to be to make the game work, 12 seconds, you're like, okay, boom, this person said cherry. Okay, cancel, stop, flip a card, go. Banana, okay, cancel, stop, flip a card, and go. It's just like you do it so often that managing it kind of becomes a chore, even though it's simple. A little nitpick here. Overall, I enjoyed this. If you're looking for a little fun little party game to bring to families and stuff through the holidays coming up soon, and you just want something quick and easy that's fun, offers good challenges, and you'll be laughing at yourself, this is a fun little game. Highly recommend Ole Guacamole. It's been the Game Boy Geek, breaking down barriers, growing relationships with board games by helping you find the next one you'll love. Game Toppers not only transforms your existing table to a high-quality gaming solution, they now offer full leg kits and dining cover solutions for the full table application. Paired with their amazing, thematic, premium stitch edge mats from noted board game artists like Vincent Dutray, collapsible cup holders, and really cool accessories, it's a complete system that upgrades every game you play. Go to GameToppersLLC.com or click the link below to late pledge for their latest Game Topper 3.5 Kickstarter campaign.